welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you a video that I promised you guys that I would make for using OBS with FL Studio and being able to use like all your synths, guitars, whatever that may be inside FL while still getting OBS to pick it up. Many of us that have made content or tutorials or whatever it may be know that you have to use the FL ASIO driver in FL Studio in order to get OBS to pick up the signal, right? And if you go into FL Studio and select your audio interface, you go back into OBS, bro, and there's no audio coming through. I have a solution to that. This is going to be for Windows users. For Mac, I think it's way easier. I believe I talked to Durkee about this, and I think with the new update, they just have one thing that captures everything. So that's amazing. But for Windows, we don't have that option. So I came across like restreaming plugins, using audio with IPs to like get it to go over. And it's just, I didn't want to do all that. I just wanted a simple way to use my interface. And that's when I stumbled across this post. Shout out to this user. Really helped me out. There was a lot of key parts missing for me to follow along with my interface that I had to figure out. But when I pieced the puzzle together, this was the start of it. They got me like 90% of the way there, and then I was able to figure out the rest. Now I'm able to finally use my interface's audio driver in FL, use all my synths, whatever it is, guitars, everything that's plugged in there, and get OBS to pick it up. And that is with a loopback feature. So if you don't have a loopback feature, before you watch the rest of this video, look up your interface and see if you have a loopback feature. I'm using a Mo2 interface, and that has the loopback feature. The Focusrite interfaces also have the loopback feature. I don't know if like the really old ones do, but for example, Infinite has a Focusrite. We set it up for him as well. He's featured in this video, so you can see how to do it with my Mo2 interface and also with his Focusrite, because there's a control panel you have to set up. Now this is a lot, but if you have one of those two, you're already set, you're good. If you have a different interface, before continuing with this video, look up if you have the loopback feature. And if you do, then you're probably about 95 to 99% sure you're gonna be able to get this to work. Let's go. So first thing you wanna do is open your interface settings. You might have a control panel like Infinite's later on because it uses a Focusrite. You'll see that we explain that. And there's a whole bunch of settings in there. Or it might be something very simple like this on my Mo2, which is just, I'm able to select the sample rate. We can get into sample rates and explain all that, but that's just too much and not part of this video. So anyways, whatever one you're running with, use that. I'm using a 48,000. So I'm gonna make sure that my sample rate across everything else is the same as it's set for my interface in FL and all of the sound drivers on my system. More about that in a second. In your DAW, this is FL Studio. Let's go up to options. We need to set our driver. So we'll go right here to audio settings and then inputs and outputs right here on device. You see I have my interface selected. So we hit the Mo2 M series. You select your interface. As mentioned, this is really only going to work if you have the loopback feature. So before even trying to do this, just make sure you have a loopback feature on your interface. Next thing we have is the sample rate. I'm doing a 48,000. You could do 48,000 or 41,000. Infinite's running 41,000 on his. So you could set it to 41 or 48, or if you're running 96 or higher, whatever it is, we don't have to get into sample rates for this video, but I'm running 48,000, right? This is very important right here because whatever setting you choose right here, whether it's, let's just say 41 or 48, you're gonna need to apply that setting on all sound drivers on your computer. I'm going to show you how to do that. But if you have any that are different, if you have 48 here and then 41 on something else, as far as like the Windows audio drivers, this whole thing is going to get messed up. You're going to get latency. You're going to get clicks. You're going to get pops. It's just going to break. It's not going to work. So just remember whatever number you set here, right? So this is all we have to do in FL. So the next thing we need to do is make sure everything on Windows is set correctly as well. So you're going to come over here to this little icon right here. Make sure your interface is selected. Again, you could see out 1 and 2 Mo2 M series. We're going to right click right here and we're going to hit open sounds. We're going to go to playback. We're going to go through all of playback and all of recording and right click, even if they're disabled. I'm even setting my monitor right here to 48,000. Remember, that's the setting I have in FL Studio for my sample rate. This needs to match across everything. So regardless of if you think it is or if it's not, go in here and reset all these. So you're just going to right click on each one, properties, and then you're going to go into advanced, 2-channel, 24-bit, 4800. And then you're going to hit apply and okay. Then you're going to go to the next one. Here, you're gonna do the same thing. Properties, advanced, make sure 2-channel 24-bit 48 hertz. Sometimes you won't see the option, so you don't need to do it, but click everything. If it's disabled, it doesn't matter. You might have different things installed on your computer. If you're doing 41, make sure to do 41 on all of them. Then go to the recording section and do the same thing on all of these, every single one of them. Make sure to hit apply, hit OK, then apply again here, OK, and it'll close out and it will set them. Then open that same thing again and just double check that all of them are 48 and they didn't like go back to 41, or if some are 96, just make sure whatever you chose in FL or your DAW, you keep that consistent across everything. So now we can close that out and let's go into OBS. I turned my 7B off and I'm recording straight on the audio of my camera so that I can show you what's going on and you don't really see any movement right here from my mic, right? So the audio quality has obviously changed, but I had to do that because when I'm moving around OBS is gonna mess up the video. And I'm not gonna create a brand new scene because I just did that to try to show you from scratch, but then you're not gonna be able to see my screen. I'm gonna have to reset all that up too. So we're just gonna have to look from here and I'll just duplicate what I have going on right here. So basically, all this is this FL Studio Loopback. I named it that, but it's an audio input because remember we created a virtual input inside our computer for FL and we're gonna be picking it up right here. Right? So that's that loopback feature. And then the mic right here is the mic that my 7B that's plugged into my Motu. If I were to turn it on, you can see I'm talking right there, right? And it worked. Remember, inside FL, inside audio settings, I have my interface selected, right? So now that my interface is selected and I'm in OBS, we're no longer using the desktop audio. That's why that's muted. I just left it there because you'll probably see it on yours too, and you can follow along that way. We're gonna be using this FL Studio Loopback one, right? So if I press play right here, so boom, it's moving right here. So in order to create this loopback, if you have the function, Infinite has a whole control panel for Focusrite that we set up. Mine doesn't, mine just does it in the background. You saw the settings for my Motu. We really just got to control the sample rate, and then the loopback function's already in the background enabled. So all I have to do is go into OBS right here and I hit a new source. So over here, sources, we hit the plus, and we're gonna look for audio input capture, right? Usually you would see like display capture and audio application beta. It's still not going to pick up the interface. So what we need to do is do an audio input capture. So boom, audio input capture, we'll call this FL Studio. And then we could leave it like that and hit OK. And then right here is where we're gonna select our loopback. So default, right? We have all these different settings. This is the 1 and 2, 3 and 4, all these different things that I have. And then I have Loopback Mix Motu series. So that's what I'm gonna select. I'm gonna hit yes right here. On Infinite, we'll show you what it is. It's the Focusrite loopback section. But over here, now we see FL Studio right here. And if I go press play on this loop, you see it's going through right here, FL Studio. Perfect. So now the cool thing is, since we're able to use our sound driver, what that means is everything that I have plugged in, for example, this synth, if I turn it on, is plugged into 3 and 4 on my Motu, right? When you're using the FL ASIO driver, you don't get access to all your ins and outs on your interface. So you can really only use 1 and 2. And if you have your synth on 3 and 4 or 5 and 6, or you have your mic and a guitar, you're not gonna be able to use any of that. It's not gonna pick it up. Cool thing is, now I can use 3 and 4, right? So let me turn this off real quick. And the synth is on. And now if I go inputs 3 and 4 for my synth and play something, it's picking up in FL, right? But on the ASIO driver, we wouldn't see it picking up in OBS. But watch right here. You see it's picking up right there on FL Studio, right? Perfect. So now the only other thing we need to do is have our microphone work. So you see I have the 7B right here. I know this is really confusing to look at because I duplicated it. Just follow along with what I'm explaining to do. You know, you don't need to have double all these things. So I'm gonna mute the mic again. So technically all we're running right now is this FL Studio one. I have the desktop one muted. I could technically hide all these if I wanted to make it easy for you. But I'm gonna make this difficult to look at. So now we just need to get our microphone, right? If we're using a mic and we're plugged in. So this 7B right here is plugged into the first input on my interface. The synth is running on 3 and 4. So the reason I want this separate is so that all the stuff in FL Studio comes through right here, but I want my microphone to come through its own input. So later when I edit the footage, they're separated. You have everything from FL, and then you have my microphone right here that is separate, and I can affect it differently if I need to mute it, turn it up, turn it down. I don't want it also going through this FL Studio part. So very simple. All we need to do is go over here, audio input, and then we'll call this SM7B mic, or whatever you want to call it, your mic. That's not, okay, cool. There we go. And then here, I need to select where it's plugged in on my interface. It's plugged in on 1 and 2 of my Mode 2. So I hit OK. And then now the mic is here. And if I turn it on, you can see my voice is going through right here, right? There's a couple other things you need to do for this, and I'll just tell you right now. We need to mono it because it's obviously going to be coming out of the left side. That just happens in OBS. So what we're going to do is actually go right here, and it's in Advanced Properties. And F7B mic is the one we just made. And you see we just turn it to mono, and then boom, now it's coming through mono. Right, so now that I reset this up, I'm gonna undo these real quick so that we can see just the original, the loopback, and the mic, and then I'll show you the settings in OBS to get everything else to work. All right, so once you have it set up, you're gonna see it just like this, your FL Studio loopback, right? And then your microphone, or you're not using a microphone. If you're just using FL Studio, then that's fine, you just have it like that. And now if I turn my mic on real quick, the mic's coming through there, but not through FL, perfect. I'm gonna turn this off. I'm just using the mic right here on my camera to make it easier so we don't see movement happening. Now if I go to the synth and play the synth, cool, it's coming through with the FL Studio loopback. That's perfect. And then we have this here, right? So we can press play on this. And it's coming through right here. You can play the synth as well. And it's all being recorded on that FL loopback. So that's it. It's that simple. It's very easy. You just need the loopback feature. And because Infinite uses Focusrite, we're going to show you his setup next so you can see how to easily set that up. So let's go over the settings in OBS. Settings, let's go to audio. And audio here, you see desktop's on by default. You can disable that or leave it. Mine was muted, as you saw, because we're using the interface's loopback feature, right? So we're not really needing the desktop audio anymore. But anyways, that's just on by default. Sample rate again of 48,000. Then stereo here. The mic, which is going to be this one, my 1 and 2, I have selected to my Mode 2. The rest of these are disabled. I didn't need them. And that's it. Left that like that. All right, then in audio, make sure all of these are set to 320. Obviously can't change these right now because I'm recording. So yeah, just 320 right there. And then inside of recording, I have audio track 1 and 2 selected. And the reason I have 1 and 2 selected is because that's going to be FL Studio, and then the other one being my mic right here. So lastly, if we go over here and go into properties, not properties, advanced properties here, you see desktop audio, right? That's the one we're not using. It's still going through 1. I could turn that off if I need to, but it's muted. Anyways, let's just pay attention to these two. FL Studio loopback is on audio track 1, and then my 7B, which is right here, is assigned to number 2. And I make sure, so don't look at this first one, just look at these two. So the FL Studio cookup is on 1. The SM7B is on number 2. None of the rest are selected. And what that means is when I record in OBS and I bring it into my editing software like Premiere, the first audio track is going to be FL Studio, everything inside FL Studio, right? Which is the loopback one we created. And there's going to be another audio track under there, which is my microphone. And that's going to allow them to be separate so I can affect my mic separately, mute it, turn it off. I don't want my mic running through the FL Studio and all that to be like mixed up. I want it on 2 separate tracks, right? So that's all that's doing. Just make sure on your mic it's set to mono, but on the FL Studio loopback, do not set this to mono. Otherwise, everything will be in mono, and it's not going to sound good. And then that's all the settings you have to do. That's literally it, and it will look like this. Hopefully I was able to help you out because I've been trying to do this forever. In his options, we have it set up on audio settings to his interface, which is the Focusrite. And then he's running 44.1 for the sample rate, and that is what is set on his computer to everything. What I showed you guys earlier On my computer, I'm running 44.8. So all of my audio settings on my Windows, they just all need to match. So everything on his matches at 44.1. So this is what he has in FL. And then when he wants to record his synth, and what interface do you have?
I have a Focusrite 4i4.
Okay, so you got 4 in, 4 out, right?
Yes, sir.
His synth is plugged in on input 3 and 4, which is similar to mine. And then when he wants to like record or play a synth, he just needs to go to like a new channel like here and select inputs 3 and 4. And then because his synth are plugged into 3 and 4, it'll work. And you don't have that option when you're with the ASIO driver. So then we're also going to show you guys the setup if you have a Focusrite that you need to do inside the Focusrite app. All right, so in here, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I kind of don't remember how this looked before we set this up, but I'll show you what you need to do. So you have this thing called Loopback right here. So on this Loopback, you're seeing things happen here, but pretty much what's happening is inside of Focusrite control, we're creating a virtual pretty much input that OBS can see. So what we're doing is routing a bunch of audio into like a virtual input instead of like an analog one. And then in OBS, we can go select that virtual input. So all that pretty much means is just copy this, bro. Go over here, select this, click right here on custom mix. Yours might be on something else like playback 1 and 2, whatever. Just hit custom mix right here. Hit this plus sign right here. And what you're going to do is add what we have for him is playback 1 and 2. So we're not going to add another one. And then up here, this is going to be software. So this is the DAW playback. So pretty much what this is doing is the synth and FL are going to run through FL Studio, right? And that's going to be software. So everything in the DAW is going to be created as a virtual input that we can pick up into OBS. So then you have hardware inputs. So this would be his microphone that's plugged into his interface. And then he has analog 2, which maybe he had a guitar plugged in. Remember, the synth is on 3 and 4 running into FL. So that's already going through the software one. So we don't have to worry about that. But if he wanted to record his synth independently into OBS, you know, he can create another one here. Anyways, you see analog 1 right here is muted. So the reason we muted that is because if he starts talking, can you talk for me, Devin?
Hello, sir.
It's muted, but you see he's coming through right here, right? Because he's talking into his mic. His mic is plugged into analog 1 on his interface. So it's coming through right here, but we muted it because we're going to have his mic go through OBS and be separate so he can process it separately from FL Studio. But if I unmute this and he starts talking,
hello, hello, hello,
that would mean that when I go into OBS and create this virtual input, his mic's going to come through again. It'll make sense later when I show you, but we need to mute this because really all we're using this for is to create a virtual input for the software DAW that we can make OBS pick up. So that's it. Mute that one so your voice doesn't come through twice. Then we have this. This pretty much just means everything in FL, all the stuff in FL is getting picked up. We left this one intentionally so you can see it. But the desktop audio used to be like the way he used to do it, and myself included, was to have this desktop audio, and then you would just select FL ASIO and let it run through. So in reality, we could delete this, but we'll just keep it. But it's muted, as you can see. So FL Studio Loopback is the one where all his sounds and synth are going to be picked up. I'm coming through here because we're on Zoom, so don't pay attention to that. Just act like that's like audio, right? But if he were to play something on his synth right now, is it plugged in?
Yeah, I got it on.
Cool. So you see his mic here, which we'll explain in a second, right? But he's recording FL Studio right here. So everything through FL. And then his microphone is right here set up as an additional input, which I showed you guys already. That's why we muted it on this loopback, because we want it only to come through here. So then when he goes into Premiere, whatever, to edit his video, he has all of FL as one, and then his actual microphone that's plugged in as another. And then he can, affect his voice if he needs to turn it up louder or mute it, whatever, separately, and it's not all coming through one. So if he plays something on the synth right now, so it's going to come through both. I'm going to be quiet. As you can see now, the synth is picked up and it's coming through here. So to do this, now that we have that virtual input created with the Focusrite control, we hit plus right here and we did an audio input capture. And then we'll just call this test. We hit OK. And then right here on device, we hit this loopback right here. And that's all you have to do. So once you hit that loopback, the software digital input thing that we created inside the Focusrite control, that's going to be this one right here. So this is pretty much our virtual one. One thing we forgot to mention is if you're not seeing the loopback option in OBS, it's because you need to enable it. So bottom right hand corner, hit that arrow, right click on the Focusrite app, and then follow what he's doing here and make sure that it's enabled. You can copy what he shows there, and then it will pop up in OBS. The analog 1 and 2 is obviously like the interfaces 1 and 2, right? But that's not picking up all the stuff we need from FL, and that's why it doesn't work unless you're using the ASIO. But this loopback feature on these interfaces is the cheat code, and that's how you get it to work. I'm not going to click it though, because it's going to double what he already has going on. But that would create this right here, and then that's all you got to do. Then you have your mic coming through here like I showed you guys earlier.
Yes, sir, man.
All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and hopefully it worked for you. Drop a comment down below if it did work for you. I really hope it did, because this solved a lot of headaches of just being able to use the synths, the microphone, all of that without having to use the FL ASIO and running into problems of OBS not picking it up. Shout out to that Reddit user again. If you're watching this video for some reason, or you do come across this video at any point, I appreciate you. That's really all I got for today's video, man. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next video, peace.